Production.
In the mix.
With the Commish, Nate.
Hey-o, it is that time again to talk OMFL playoffs. We are done with the wild card round. I have a friend here with me. You just don't see him yet. He had to take a phone call really quick, but that's okay. He's going to be back before we know it. And when he does, we will get his insight, his thoughts around the wild card weekend here in season 117 playoffs. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you reach down there, smash that like button. I love and appreciate our guys here in Grown Folks and the OMFL. Guys, you're rocking it out. I can't wait to see how these playoffs wrap up. And I'm also looking forward to being able to wrap up work and actually have some time off to worry about the playoffs, make graphics, start to get on and call some of these games. It should be a really fun time. Let's just cover the scores, and then we're going to go back, break down each one of these 6 games that took place over the last couple of days. Then we're going to come back and wrap things up with a mailbag if we have any questions. So now is the time to get your questions in. The Colts beat the Jets, his brother, 41-24. Thanksgiving/Christmas dinner should be a ton of fun in that household now. Nipples and the Ravens with a 41-21 victory over Little Koch. The Bills fall to the Raiders 41-26. The no defense thing continued to haunt Joker and those Buffalo Bills. Over on the NFC side, Tim and the Lions come away with a big-time 24-21 victory over Cincyberg. I didn't see this one coming. Sort of came out of the blue. Congratulations to the Lions. It shouldn't. He is the number 2 seed here in the NFC. The number 3 seed, Bird and the Panthers, fall to the Commanders 46-28. What up, Coffee? Good to see you, my buddy. Meek and the Seahawks win 46-38 over Kevin and the Buccaneers. And the NFC South just swept away from the NFC playoffs just like that, my NFC South brother. And my heart goes out to you. But hey, you could just not make the playoffs like I do every single season, and you can avoid yourself the heartache. I can't tell. Mr. Maniac, are you back with us?
I am back.
There he is. I thought I could see it. It's a very small screen for me, way up here, far away. What up, Randy? Let's talk about these games. Let's start with the Indianapolis Colts and the New York Jets. My goodness, the Colts with a 41-24 victory. He scored 20, I'm trying to do quick math, 27 points in the second and third quarter combined. These games seem to play out that way. Sometimes games either have a really heavy first quarter, a really heavy third quarter, and then there's nothing else, or guys just go on these massive runs right in the middle of this game. This one turned away from the Jets is his brother, Randy, Brother Bowl 2.0, I think. This is the second time they played. 270 total offensive yards for the Jets, 392 total offensive yards for Randy and his Indianapolis Colts. 101 running yards, 291 passing yards, 22 first downs to 12. No turnovers for the Jets. 2 turnovers. The other way around. No, it is. That is the way. God, I confused myself here. The Jets, no turnovers and still lost this much. 2 turnovers for the Colts, and then the time of possession. I don't know why we love looking at that thing, but we do. 17:30 to 26:30. And looking at a couple of these stats before I turn it over to Maniac and get his thoughts. 4 touchdowns from Anthony Richardson Sr., 2 interceptions. He had a long of 48. He was sacked twice, but 82% completion percentage. If you give him the 2 turnovers that he threw to the Jets, he would have been 26 of 29. Richardson was just filling himself today. Almost no running game from either of these teams. 63 yards for Taylor, 50 for the quarterback Fields. Anytime your quarterback is your leading rusher on the day, you're probably not having a great day. The averages are really good, just not a lot of guys getting a ton of carries here. It looks like Taylor did have a fumble on the day. Dimps, 124 yards, 3 touchdowns. McCool, 7 receptions on the day. And then finally some defensive winners here. 10 tackles from Milner, Williams, and Thomas. Jets defense was flying all over the field. Sexton with 3 tackles for loss. McDonald, 2 sacks on the day. Sexton and Buckner each with a sack. And then finally, the 2 interceptions, one from Quincy Williams, middle linebacker, making a play over there. I'm sorry, Will linebacker making a play for the Jets. And then Sherwood, the middle linebacker, Mike linebacker, making a play there for the Jets as well. This one is a weird box score, one of those Fugazi box scores. If you look at the box score, you're like, well, this game must have been really close in some way, somehow, Maniac. It wasn't close at all. The Colts run away from this one. What'd you think about the wild card weekend between the two brothers?
It was a crazy one. I actually tuned into a little bit of it at first. I think I want to say I feel like it's been like a week ago since I watched this game, but I believe like he started off with a couple of picks, like early picks, and I think it's the reason why the Jets had jumped out to that 17-point first quarter that they had there. So that was kind of crazy because I was all like, I'm looking at that, and I was like, man, his brother's got his number, because I played Randy. I think the second or third, fourth week of the season. I mean, he just obliterated me. And I was like thinking, like, oh, maybe his brother's kind of got his number here, and then just after that, it seemed like it was just steady Eddie for the rest of the game, and he just started kind of taking control. And Richardson, he was getting it done through the air. I mean, he was just on fire, and he couldn't be stopped. It seemed like he was just always making the right throw the rest of that game, and that was pretty impressive, I thought, from him. You already touched on it, too. There was, like, not a lot of rushing from either. We've kind of seen Randy in past Maddens where he's just dominated the rushing attack with Taylor. And it hasn't been the same type of game, but he's doing it enough to keep guys on their toes. But, I mean, when you got this receiver that he's got, McCullough, and it looks like the rookie kind of had a breakout game in the playoffs with that 6 receptions for 3 touchdowns. But everybody's worried about the big man, McCullough, because that's kind of his go-to guy. I know he torched me, I think, for like 3 touchdowns in the game that we played. And so normally if you're not got your best guy on this guy, he's going to tear you up. But way to spread the ball around there, taking what they were giving him, and Demps was wide open. Seemed like all game long, 3 touchdowns, and just absolutely kind of after that first quarter, he just dominated it until the end of the game there.
Randy said he's in the chat, he said I threw picks on back-to-back plays. First was a pick 6, shut him out. After that was on autopilot. Little shade thrown there as we get ready for Christmas dinner with brother. I got on autopilot. I was beating you so bad. He said, let's look at the Baltimore Ravens and Nipples beating Little Koch and the Browns 41-21. The defense for the Ravens absolutely shined in this one, Mr. Maniac. Only 34 yards rushing allowed by the Baltimore Ravens. The first downs were close, but the turnovers, 5 turnovers on the day for the Browns. That one, just that offense and the quarterback play just came back to haunt them. It did not play very well. They were pretty consistent. The problem was they couldn't stop turning the ball over. Coles, 4 interceptions on the day, 1 touchdown, 53% completion percentage. I think my favorite stat of the day, Mr. Shador Sanders came in for 6 passes. He was 1 of 5 with a pick. Sit that dude down and never, ever play him again. Lamar Jackson, he didn't play all that much better. He was 14 of 23, 60% with 2 interceptions on the day. Still sick to my stomach. Earl Graham, the guy I was going to take with my 2nd round pick, and Nipples took him 1 pick before me. It makes me sick to see how great this guy is. 17 carries, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns on the day. Ended up being the big time difference maker there. Nobody really shining in the pass game as both quarterbacks really struggled on the day. But look at the defensive leaders here. 10 tackles for Cross, 5 tackles for loss from Namdi. I can't even do it. Anyway, you can see it on the screen. He also had 3 sacks. So
Matabuke.
Metabuke. There you go. Thank you for teaching me that. 7 tackles on the day, 5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. I'd say that's player of the game material. 2.5 from Stovall, 2.5 from Green. I mean, the Ravens defense was just swarming. Hampton had 2 interceptions. Nash had 1. Humphrey had 1. Starks had 1. And the Baltimore Ravens run away from the Cleveland Browns after Little Koch had a spectacular season. What'd you think about the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns wildcard matchup?
Well, this is one of those matchups where you've already played the guy 2 times in the season, and this was kind of a unique one too because they played the very last, or it shows it was played twice. So I'm assuming they did actually play this one. They played twice to end the season, week 18, and then had to turn around and play each other again wild card weekend. So the Ravens did win that one 41-38, and then the Browns had won the other matchup in week 10 31-28 on that one. So you kind of coming into this game, you thought, this was going to be one of those games where it's just like right down to the last play, who was going to get the win. But man, Nips just came in here and that defense just was all over Cleveland. I mean, 5 interceptions. Man, I probably, I don't know, I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but not too much. My team didn't have maybe 5 interceptions the entire season. And he gets it all in this one game, and in fact, there's 7 total is actually pretty impressive. So both these guys are really good defensive players. I would have probably gave the nod if we were looking at this. And I think in my bracket, I think I picked Little Koch to win this game because I felt they were kind of close on their defensive game, but I thought Little Koch was a little bit better on his offensive approach. But, I mean, Nips just came in with the run-in attack with Graham. I also had my eyes on this guy, too, for a backup purpose, which I figured probably wouldn't be there later on. But, man, this guy has been an absolute beast all season long. He's been probably I want to say, I think I've seen his name as one of the guys that was underrated fantasy player for the season. So 17 carries, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. When you got a running attack like that, carrying the ball 17 times, you're able to control the clock, kind of do what you want. And I mean, he was getting 6 yards a pop. That's impressive. And it's just hard to contain an offense like that, even though he's not just lighting up the scoreboard, with big play after big play, but he's just controlling the clock and putting all the pressure on that other team. And that's basically how this game unfolded, So kudos to Mr. Nips, man, on advancing.
And we've all been there like Little Koch. When you start chasing the dragon, boy, you could chase that thing right into a massive, massive obstacle to try to overcome as a team. And anytime you turn the ball over 5 times in the air, it's going to be tough to overcome. What up, Tim? Thank you, buddy. Let's look at the Vegas Raiders and the Buffalo Bills. Vegas scored 38 points in the first half. He had a 38-10 lead going into halftime against Joker in the Buffalo Bills. Boy, that one got away from him quick. 177 rushing yards for the Raiders, 332 passing yards for the Buffalo Bills, 18 first downs, but 6, yes, count them, 6 interceptions for the Buffalo Bills, 3 red zone touchdowns from the Raiders, and a 19-45-24-15 time of possession. You see it right. Aiden O'Connell got into the game. Anytime Aiden O'Connell can get some snaps, you've done something pretty well. I love that he has the tag Trade Target Young. Yeah, sure. A lot of people going after Aiden O'Connell. Peters with a great day, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was 8 of 11, and then they were like, yo, get out of this game because this one's over. Allen, this is your old quarterback, 23 of 39, 58%, 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Genty, 14 for 124 and 2 touchdowns. Genty making big plays there. Tyson for the Bills, 8 for 109 and a touchdown. And then finally some defensive leaders, Bullocks and Hancock, each with 9 tackles on the day. handful of guys with 1 tackle for a loss. Only 1 sack in this one, even with that many pass attempts. Hemingway had 1 sack. And then finally, your interception leader, Zach Bullocks, the will linebacker for the Raiders, making 3 interceptions to go with 9 tackles. This young man was making plays left and right. Your old team, man, Joker had that offense humming all season long, and yet somehow in this one, man, that offense came up as a failure. It turning the ball over 6 different times. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I really thought this was probably going to be a little bit closer than what the score indicated, and kudos to Joker. He kept battling. He did get the 16 points there in the second half to make it somewhat interesting there. But I played the Raiders close to the end of the season, and his offense is an absolute beast to try to control. He's very good with his passing attack. And I think the thing that you saw that's kind of helped the Raiders, he's actually started getting Genty really going, I think, now. Early on, I think last season and even maybe early on into this season, he was kind of struggling getting the running game going. But he did the same against me as well. He was wasn't like, big chunk plays, but he's just really consistent of getting positive yards every time he touched the ball, and it just plays into what he does on offense with the play action pass, and the one guy you always got to worry about is Thornton for the Raiders. He throws Bowers in there really well, but Thornton is his guy that he likes to take the top off the defense, and he will do it several times, and you have to be ready for that. And so it kind of starts making you play that cover 2 shell, trying to protect against that. And I think that's where you've seen some of the success of the rushing attack now for him. Definitely, he's gotten through the wild card round, and he could be somebody that makes some noise further on in the playoffs. So, but that rookie, you already talked about the linebacker Bullocks, and he kind of made a statement game here in the playoffs. Like, you're not going to get many yards in the passing attack if you're trying to attack his side with the tight end. And man, he was just everywhere. 3 interceptions, and he's obviously got a little speed to him as well, because he had 71 return yards as well. So that's a pretty impressive.
Yeah, we'll talk more about those Raiders when we come back for a little 2-minute drill. Before we go to the NFC, let's do a little commercial for some of our friends. Let's go to Bull Medical Facility, and when we come back, we'll unpack the NFC wildcard round.
Turf toe make you miss a kick, pulled hamstring snuff out your tush push, or emotional trauma from a drop pass costing you an OMFL bowl? Here at the Bull Medical Facility, we treat real injuries, the ones you think you got while playing beer league football. Whether you strained your eyes looking for your speed wide receiver, or a muscle cramp slamming on those hit sticks, or even the rare case of chokitis like me, we've got you covered. Bull Medical Facility, pro care for your not so pro pain. Just ask for Dr. Vikes, MD.
We appreciate Trey doing those for us. Let's break down the Atlanta Falcons and the Detroit Lions going into overtime, probably game of the weekend over here. And Detroit comes away with a big-time victory over a very scary Atlanta Falcons team. And this is sort of, I'd love to talk to Cincy to see how he felt. My assumption is he would not agree with maybe a statement I'm going to lob out there as something to consider, but he purposely didn't play a lot of starters. He didn't want to win in week 18 versus me, because if he did, a couple of those guys would have had to match up from the NFC South against each other. So losing to me kept him healthy, also made sure that they didn't have to play each other, broke up sort of the NFC South. But you also lose some momentum kind of playing that way. I just feel like it changes the mindset, and to flip the switch the very next advance can be a little tough. 518 total yards gained by the Detroit Lions. Mr. Steady here, 7 points scored in each of the quarters until he got to the fourth quarter. Atlanta making a little surge there in the third quarter. Goes into overtime where Detroit kicks the game winner there. 2 turnovers for the Detroit Lions, so the Falcons were able to swarm the ball. Time of possession was pretty close for both of these guys. That the box score looks pretty even as the game was. 112.2 rating for Fargas, 96.6 for Penix. Both these guys had an interception. Both of them were sacked. I think where the difference starts to come out was with how some of these backed-up plays. Taylor Anderson, the rookie halfback for the Lions, had 65 yards after contact for a total of 94 yards on the day, a 7.2 average with a long of 34. Williams with 6 catches, 191 yards, 74 of them came on one big play. He had 2 touchdowns on the day. And then looking at the defense, a bunch of guys with double-digit tackles, a couple of guys with a bunch of tackles for loss. Joseph able to get in the box, the free safety there for the Lions. We know that Tim will send that blitz anytime he needs to. Pierce and McNeil each with the sack on the day. And then the 2 interceptions, one from Marquise Thomas and one from Bates the third. And to me, this was a shocker, and I don't think that that's fair. As I said it earlier before you were able to join me, you had to take that phone call. It was like, on paper, I think that this is a bit of a shocker. This is a great win for Tim, but then you look at it, he was the number 2 seed, Nate, for a reason. Detroit deserved and earned this spot and comes out on top at home against the Atlanta Falcons. How'd you see this one breaking out?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, he like you said, he earned it because being the number 2 team. But we just kind of sometimes you get accustomed to certain guys that struggle in certain situations, and you kind of like that. Well, this is going to be, or like Cincy. We all know Cincy. He's got 2-3 OMFL champions underneath his belt. So you kind of think like, okay, well, Cincy's moving on to the next round here. Because. Nothing against him, but we've seen this in this situation before, and you're kind of like, okay, well, you put 2 and 2 together, and this is what you get, But then, but I think the thing that we're talking about, the same thing we're talking about the Raiders, we're also talking about the Lions. Is he's found his running game. He ran the ball. If you add all these rushes up with his running backs, 38 carries between all 3 running backs. He was averaging 7.2 with Anderson, 4.4 with Gibson. Montgomery was the worst out of all that, and he actually had a fumble, 2.9, but he had 8 carries. He is slamming the ball down your throat and making you like it. I mean, that's just kind of he's kind of playing that Dwayne D-Money style football, and he's got a good roster. He's had a good roster from the start, and now he's, I guess, utilizing that to the strength. And then you throw on top of it, he's got a really good quarterback with Fargas. I won't say Vargas, but Fargas. He had 334 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 16-27. So, he was obviously passing the ball as well. But you look at the numbers with Jameson Williams, this is the guy that he's targeting. This is the guy he wants to get to the ball to. 6 receptions, 191 yards, 2 touchdowns. So he's playing off of that where you got the run going, 38 carries, and you're averaging at least 5 to 6 yards a carry. That's sucking all those guys in from the secondary, trying to load up the box to stop that run. And when you got a guy like Williams that can burn over the top off. Yeah. You're going to get some big plays, and you see that from this offense. So he's playing to his strengths, and it's just going to see how it happens, because now he's getting into the real big dogs of the league. You got Dwayne coming up, and you got some of these guys that have been staples in the playoffs that he's going to have to face. If he can maintain it, we might be looking at Tim, breaking into the championship game or even possibly the OMFL Bowl. But he has definitely found his niche, and he's working with it, and it's his team's built for it, and that's what he's doing.
I completely agree. Tim in the chat says that was his first OMFL playoff win. Let's all give him a hand clap. Congratulations, Tim. You'll remember that. That's an impressive one. You beat a multi-time champion here in the OMFL and a very good Atlanta Falcons team. You should be proud of that one. He also said Lions missed a field goal to win at the end of the fourth. Neither of us scored in the first possession of overtime. He got the ball off of an interception, off of pressure, set up the game-winning field goal. Those always feel absolutely the best. Congratulations, Tim, on a big-time win. Let's talk about Commanders taking down Mr. Birdman and the Carolina Panthers 46-28. An impressive win for our brand new friend that's over here, Ron. I always feel like I've got it messed up. I think it's Ron.
Rob? I can't remember.
The chat will correct me. They always do, and I appreciate them for that. 154 running yards for the Commanders, 335 passing yards. But story of the postseason so far, Maniac, 4 interceptions for the Carolina Panthers, or 4 turnovers. 3 interceptions and a fumble. Mr. Bryce Young was 24 of 31, 77%. That's really good. A 10.8 average, but the 3 interceptions. Daniels was 14 of 22. He was sacked twice in the day, but still 63% with a 12.3 average. Rushings, Deebo Samuel Sr. making Penguins smile somewhere in this planet. 13 rushes, 101 yards, a 7.8 average, 3 touchdowns on the day. Leggett and McMillan each with 2 touchdowns. Leggett, though, 141 yards on 9 catches. Your sack leader, it was Stevenson from the Carolina Panthers. The big defensive tackle had 5 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, and then the 2 interceptions on the other side of the ball from Jamin Davis, making plays happen there for the Commanders. And the Commanders, not surprisingly, having a great season. First-time owner. This guy can play ball. Of course, he also helped build this game, so that probably helps him out a little bit. This dude is a player. He's going to be making some noise here in Season 117 playoffs. Beats the Birdman, the 2-time back-to-back champion from Madden 25. What'd you think about this one, Maniac?
Yeah, this is an impressive victory from the new guy. You know, like you said, you know, it also didn't help that, you know, he helped build the game. So he's got the inside track a little bit. But I think the big thing was, though, the turnovers. You don't see Birdman turning the ball over like this, and 3 interceptions from Bryce Young. That I think is the key. I didn't look. I was going to look and see how many maybe pick sixes he gave up on this, 1. So it wasn't like it was just totally dominated from that turnover with instant points for the Commanders. I was going to say Redskins, but anytime Birdman though turns the ball over that many times, it's going to be a tough game for him because he doesn't do it that often. No. You know, he's just really good with the ball. But the thing I think looking at this was he got outrushed, and it's hard to do because Bird likes to run the ball. Brooks has been the bell cow for him this season. I was kind of shocked because I thought he was going to go the route with Etienne and really push him, but Brooks has kind of been the bell cow this season. But Samuel Senior, 3 touchdowns. That dude is
playmaker.
I don't know. He is an absolute playmaker. I've kind of watched some of a couple of the games. He's just slippery, man. He's not huge, but I mean he's got good size, but he's just slippery and he's tough to contain. And but that's the if you notice, like from a lot of these games, that's the winning recipe so far in this playoff. Run the ball and control the clock, control the game, and then play the play action pass or the get passing yards off of the guy selling out to stop the run. And you know, Daniels didn't have a touchdown, didn't have a reception though. He was sacked a couple times, but he was efficient with the ball, obviously getting up and down the field. Receiving, Leggett, though, I mean, Leggett, he's a beast. Bird goes after him. McMillan, I mean, both these guys combined for all the touchdowns from the Panthers, but again, you just didn't see the ball control from Birdman in this game. It looked like he was just trying to get back into the game, and I think that's probably what happened because getting down 30 something points, I think, in the first half to only 7, he had to get back in the game. So, that's just one of the things you just don't see from Birdman. Yeah. But I mean, kudos to the new guy, Ron. We call you Mr. R right now. Yeah, he's the Commanders are going to be somebody to have to watch going into the playoffs, so that they could make a run here as well.
What up, Johnny Bows? What up, Kevo? Overwhelmingly in the chat, Maniac, everyone is glad to see your beautiful face. Let's talk about the last game before we got 2 mailbag questions. And then my wife just drove up, so I think the timing is starting to work out perfect. No one wanted to play defense in this one, Maniac. Seattle wins 46-38 for Tampa Bay. The story of the playoff continues. Tampa Bay outrushed him. Very close. We're talking like 20-33, if I did the math very quickly in my head. More passing yards for the Seahawks, so really close on the passing yards. But with 5 turnovers, the story of what this postseason has been done, it's going to be very hard to come back from that. Milroe, 4 touchdowns on the day, a 143.9 QBR. That's going to be pretty nice. He was sacked twice on the day. St. Louis, 105 QBR, 4 touchdowns, but the 4 interceptions is always going to hurt you. Irving, 10 carries, 109 yards, but most of them came on one play, 52 yards on one play. So neither of these guys really sticking to the run. Tyson, 7 receptions, 176 yards, 2 touchdowns. Francisco, 5 for 134. And then finally, a couple of defensive leaders, a bunch of guys with tackles on the day. Villa, though, 3 tackles for loss for the big defensive tackle, 4 tackles on the day. 2 sacks, continue to keep Milroe in place, and Villa making plays as the big man does to keep Tampa Bay in this one. But the one that caught me off was Leonard Williams got an interception. 1 interception on the day. The big defensive tackle evidently picking off a pass as he was getting hit. I suppose maybe this was a screen. More than likely, this was a quarterback getting hit. The ball floats up. Defensive tackle goes and makes a play. Woodland with his pick was a pick 6, 1 interception, 43 yards. When I was looking at these originally, I accidentally bumped up to see who got the touchdown. And I thought Williams got an interception for 43 yards and a touchdown. I was like, oh, that would have drove me absolutely nuts. But man, offense. These 2 guys making a case for us to switch to all Madden. What'd you think about this game?
Yeah, this was actually probably I know we're talking about, scoring so many points and stuff, but this was actually probably, I guess, one of the more evenly matched. So you could also say like the Falcons and the Lions was a very entertaining game, evenly matched across the game without not having big blowouts or whatever. First half, these guys in first half tied. I actually watched a little bit of this until the halftime, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is a really good game. Both these guys are kind of firing on all cylinders. And but again, we talked about, and I just want to point out this little stat too. As I was looking at this, as we were talking about all the games and stuff, I was like, man, I need to add this up. We had 25 interceptions thrown in the wild card round combined.
Crazy.
Yeah, and so that's something that I don't think we've seen a whole lot of. I think guys have taken care of the ball more in the regular season. If you look at some of these guys' stats, I dare say any of these guys had many games with multiple interceptions. I think we had, if I just kind of thinking back, had 3 or 4 quarterbacks have at least 4 interceptions in the wild card round. So that's kind of crazy. St. Louis, Kev, when he's on, he is almost unstoppable. St. Louis just kind of fits his mold for a quarterback, and he's only in his first years outside of his rookie year. So, man, this guy's going to be around for a while. Milrow, though, for the Meat Boy, he has him playing astounding. 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I mean, he only missed 10 passes. I mean, he was just on fire with this guy, and just so impressive. And the thing that kind of shocked me on this was because Walker had been so dominant throughout the regular season. This is probably going to be one of the only games that we'll look at that the rushing attack for the winning team was actually less than the rushing attack for the losing team. Irving had 109 yards. Maybe part of it was Kev didn't commit to it enough because, man, he had 10 yards of carry with this guy. I know he had he just absolutely dominates my secondary. And you throw in some of the other guys he's got. Now he's got Christian Watson from the Packers, 2 touchdowns. Not impressive on the yards wise, but man, he got in the end zone twice. So his offense, so that's going to be the thing that's going to carry the Seahawks. He has had moments where he's given up quite a few yards. I've actually
Absolutely. My internet hiccup there. So, guys watching, let me know if we're back. I have no clue. It looks like Daniel's in the chat, so maybe we're back. We should be back. I see Maniac now, and everything is working the way it should. I have no clue what happened. Literally, the internet just went, "Hey, I'm going to take a break for a second here. I'll be back in a little bit." We're back. Sorry about that, y'all. I absolutely agree. I think that's sort of the story of the season of guys just not sticking with the run enough. And I get it. It's hard. It's complicated, especially when you start to lose and fall behind. It feels like passing's the way to go. But I'm interested to see what happens as we move into season 118. Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break with our friend Nipples at Miguel Law Firm. When we come back, we're going to do a very quick preview on all 4 of these divisional round games, open up the mailbag for 2 questions, and I got to get out of here because the wife's already home. So we'll be right back.
¿Estás dolido por Madden? Oh, pues llama 4444. Es Miguel. Te ayudaré a mejorar tu vida. No Madden, no McDonald's, McFlurry. Adiós, amigo. 444-4444. Llama, te puedo ayudar.
When your nips has been twisted, please call Miguel.
No hablamos inglés.
Thank you to our guy Nipples for doing that for us. We got Dallas, the number 1 seed, hosting Ron and the Washington Commanders as the number 6 seed. We got Tim and his Detroit Lions, the number 2 seed, going to host Meat Boy and the Seattle Seahawks, the number 4 seed. I don't know what to think about this Dallas Cowboy game. I still think he is the best guy in the entire league. I think we are working our way to a rematch of Trey versus Dwayne in the OMFL Bowl number 117. I also have to tip my cap to a couple of guys that are playing really good football over there. Tim is an impressive victory over Cincyberg, and that I've seen that momentum because I was that momentum one time, carry him deep into the playoffs. What Ron has done with the Washington Commanders is nothing to shake a stick at. Let's see what he does. He's now got to go on the road and beat arguably the best player that's ever played in the OMFL, and he's going to have to do it. And we've also seen Dwayne drop some of these games where he's got his championship, and who knows, things happen. And then we got Meek Boy. I mean, he hung 46 points up on Kevin. That offense is roaring. These 2 teams, in the Seahawks and the Commanders, going to have to go on the road. We've also seen road teams go on runs here and make really big plays. I'm going to stick with Dallas. The other game, Detroit and Seattle, I'm going to go with my heart and just say Lions and Mr. Coach Tim pick up his second victory again to move into his first ever NFC championship. So I see a Dallas Lions game, but honestly, flip a coin on any of these games. How do you see the NFC divisional round, Blake, breaking up?
Yeah, it's gonna be one of these entertaining ones. Definitely playing Meat Boy 4 times now this Madden. He has bested me on all of them. I have to go with my boy there in our division because I just think his offense, and he again, like I say, he struggles on defense some, but his defense is a defense is opportunistic. And if the Lions don't stay with the run, or if the run falters on them, and the Seahawks are able to make him one-dimensional, I think that's where it falls into the Seahawks' probability for the win here. And he's so good at doing that. I think this Madden, this has been the best Madden, I think, for Meat Boy so far. And I think he gets the win here against the Lions. I think it's going to be a pretty close game. It'll probably be like a 38 20-ish, 24-ish game, something like that. But give me the Seahawks. Commanders, Cowboys. This one's going to be, the Commanders, the new guy coming in. He's also helped make the game, like we've already pointed out and stuff. And if Dwayne is sober, this might be the only way that Rob's able to get the upper hand on him. But no, I know Dwayne's he says, like, if he's just got a little bit in him, he plays more relaxed. So it'll depend on how he manages the intake. So, but Dwayne is a machine. He is probably the closest thing that we have an actual CPU machine here. He plays the same way, and he gets the same results, and he dominates 9 out of 10 and a half times. So he is just that good. Dwayne is just he can be a machine, like I said, and just give me the Cowboys here. I think with his rushing attack and how he takes care of the ball. He doesn't put it in harm's way, and I just think it plays right into his hands here, and it'll be a tight game. I think this will probably looking at the matchups, I think this will probably be the most entertaining game of this round. So give me the Cowboys like 28-24.
You got to manage that daddy juice intake, even though he's not a daddy. What up, Chaos? Sometimes, his wife starts feeding him them bourbons and Cokes. So you never know how that plays out. AFC very quickly. You got Trey, the number 1 seed, hosting Nipple and those Baltimore Ravens. The number 2 seed, Randy and the Colts, hosting J Bows and the number 5 seed Raiders. 2 very good games, but it was impressive, in my opinion, what Nipples was able to do on defense against a little Koch. That makes me wonder and question, man, he's going to go back on the road and face a very balanced and very good Trey Chargers. And I'm going to go with Trey in the Chargers. He's in the number 1 seed. He should be honored as much. He's playing great football. If you don't believe me, ask him. He'll tell you all about it. Trey is just playing good, balanced all-around football, defense, offense, run game, pass game. Nipples is going to have to be on top of it. He does have to go on the road, and he could prove me wrong with that impressive victory against Little Koch and the 6 turnovers, but he's going to have to do it against a guy that doesn't turn the ball over all that much. So I like the Chargers in this one. And then you got Randy and the Colts against J Bows and the Raiders. I kind of want to go back to what I said about the Lions. That's so impressive. That momentum can carry you, but I've seen J Bows do this to me before. He invites me to the dance, he gives me my corsage, and then he never shows up. And at the end of the night, I see him dancing with the pretty girl on the dance floor while I'm crying in tears. So I think he's going to leave me again. Give me Randy and the Colts, number 1 seed versus number 2 seed, AFC playoff divisional championship. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, this. I just want to point out a couple things here. The Chargers boast the number 1 rushing offense in the league. He has 3,594 rushing yards combined team-wise for the entire season. The next best team is the Lions with 2,600. So he's almost lapped the next nearest team by 1,000 yards, which is insane. On the other hand, the Ravens, they are the number 10 team, best team is stopping the run. So this could be an interesting situation. I think this could be a really good matchup between these guys because, one, you got the number one by far probably setting all kinds of OMFL records for the most yardage for a team in a season rushing. But I think just looking at that stat, I don't know if unless you have the number one rushing stopping team and you have everybody on your front defensive line that has 90 plus run stop ability, I think he's just going to run it and run it and run it and run it. And I think there's nothing that Nipple's going to be able to do to stop it. And it's just going to turn into one of those games where he may grind out the win. It may be, a high scoring game or a low scoring game. I kind of figure it's going to be like a 27-24 victory for the Chargers. But I think that's kind of the way it plays out. The Colts and the Raiders, I think this one ends up being a shootout. It's also an interesting stat that all three teams in the wild card round on the AFC side scored 41 points that were winning from that round. So both these guys scored 41 points. I'm going to keep in the path of this is going to be a 40-plus point game versus both these guys. So
they can do it.
I think it's going to be high-flying offense, and I just think it's going to come down to who makes the least amount of mistakes, and whoever is able to control the ball the best to limit those mistakes are going to be your winner. And so far, I think looking at the stats up to this game, the Raiders have actually did a better job at limiting those mistakes and also getting the better rushing attack from their team. So give me the Raiders to kind of have a little bit of an upset, even though I actually picked the Colts in my bracket. I think looking at this, though, I think the Raiders are going to have a good chance to advance here, give them the 31-28 victory.
Let's go open up the OMFL mailbag. We're going to have a heck of a divisional or conference championship on both sides, no matter how this one plays out. Before we get out of here, we're going to open up the mailbag. And before we do that, we got one more commercial from our buddy Denver.
Does your games against Cincyberg and Kobe have you crying into your console? Are you this freaking close to having an all-time OMFL meltdown? Is your team playing like they're being controlled by your drunk uncle? Well, don't rage quit just yet. Hold in that R2 button and sprint on over to Denbru's Part Shack, the only place to rebuild your busted Madden roster. Your team is a dumpster fire, but I have the parts to turn those digital duds into gridiron gods. We have receivers that run faster than Caitlyn Jenner ran away from his first family. Call now or you can kiss your OMFL glory goodbye.
These guys did such a good job. I always want to ask him, how many of you typed that into ChatGPT? I don't care. It was funny as heck, so I appreciate them doing it. All right, 2 questions, one from Randy, one from Trey. Randy says, looking at some of these teams with dominant receivers, Thornton, Lowry, Copeland, etc., and dominant backs, Henry, McMullen, etc., what strategy do you wish to employ? Dominant run game or a pass game? That's a great question, Randy. My heart, for me, says I want to be a pass game because I'm a receiver. I played receiver. I love playing receiver. There's nothing like playing quarterback and throwing that perfect spiral, that perfect pass. But we're talking about Madden and coaching. I want a dominant run game. There's less opportunity for me to fumble the ball. I'm going to have less fumbles than I will interceptions on the season. It gives me a chance to present my will at the offensive line, and I'm eating the clock. I think dominant run games are like really great defenses. They win games in this league, and they win games when they matter. That's in the playoffs. So what about you, Mr. Maniac?
Yeah, I mean, it's flashy with the receivers. That list that he just listed there, Thornton, Lowry, and Copeland. Lowry has already been knocked out of this one, so but Thornton, big-time playmaker for the Raiders. Copeland for the Ravens. But I think the dominant backs of Henry, McMullen, those guys, if you looked at the wild card round, again, I think it was only like one team that didn't really dominate the rushing attack, and that was the Seahawks. All the rest of the teams that dominated the wild card round were phenomenal, running the ball, controlling the clock, limiting mistakes, and I think you're just going to see a bigger dose of that as we get into this round. And whoever does it best and then able to play off of that and get the big plays as well, that's going to be who you're going to see advance.
Yep, I completely agree. What up, T-Mac? Bird says, good to see Maniac back on here. I completely agree. But I'm starting to get in my feelings about this. None of you guys watch? There was nobody in chat when I was by myself. I'm starting to think that y'all just don't like me. I think I'm the problem in this relationship. Trey says, what are some of the biggest cross-conference rivals, AFC versus NFC? I think that's a really, really good question. And when I read this one, I started to put on my thinking cap because it would have been a different answer 2 seasons ago or even a season ago, even last Madden. But trying to think about where we sit currently, I think there's a couple of really good ones, but none that like jump to the tippy top. I think Randy, maybe the Colts, and the Cowboys. That might be like a small rivalry.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe Denbrew versus the Cowboys. Nipples
like
versus the
everybody
49ers.
versus the Cowboys.
Nipples versus D-Money when there was that 49ers Ravens matchup a couple of Maddens ago or whatever that was. That's a great question. I don't have a great answer for it.
Yeah, I'm kind of chalking my brain here a little bit, and I guess you can look at like some of the guys that maybe used to play in certain divisions, like which I'm still in the NFC, but even though like Joker, he seems to have pretty good matches against like when he plays the NFC West because he was over there for a couple of Maddens.
But we've seen one season of it, so it's like, is that really a rivalry?
Right.
Trey said Tim and Trey. I mean, Tim said Tim and Trey, but it's like, is that really a rival? I don't know.
Y'all both like root for the same team, in real life. So I think it's almost like a mutual brotherly love, love fest over there between these two guys. Maybe there is a rival with. Now there is a rival if they're both playing with their favorite team in the toilet bowl. So we can go that route. I think since he is a guy that's kind of traveled around, I think he has a lot of maybe rivals. I think him and Bronco Men have had some OMFL games against each other, and I think there's a little bit of a rivalry there. Big Hurt maybe with maybe like with Dwayne, with Denbrew. I think Big Hurt may have played those guys in the OMFL Bowl. D-Money is also another one. He kind of has like a rival. I mean, it's like a one-sided rival with like 95%.
I guess that's my struggle. Is like when I think of rival, I think of like these are good games. They could go either way, and it's like all these matchups are like, really, not really.
I mean, I will throw out like you and I. We're kind of a rival. I mean,
but you're now over here with the Arizona.
Yeah.
See, if you would have stayed in Buffalo, there would have been a couple of natural ones. If D-Money would have stayed in AFC, it's like with this mixture of power, it's like, I don't know. I don't think there is the matchup outside of Denbrew, Dwayne. Like those two guys have faced each other for the bowl. Those were some really good games.
You really have to look at like who's stayed in the AFC and who has stayed like in the NFC or have swapped. But I've kind of been all over. Big Hurt's been kind of like all over. But Dwayne's been an NFC guy for the 80% of the time. He was the Colts for a couple of seasons, but some of these guys that are always like the AFC compared to the NFC, there's not a whole lot that you can say about that because everybody's kind of either done the musical chairs or has stayed with the same team for a long time. So I think just looking at individuals, maybe they're still in the same division. Like, like I said, like you and I, we always have good close games. It seems like very few times have either one of us blowed each other out. It's always
Yeah.
been kind of like, a couple score game, and it's always kind of like that rivalry feeling,
Right.
no animosity against each other, but it's always like, I've got to bring my A game if I'm playing Nate, kind of thing. That's the way I always feel. I've got to bring my best to play Nate, or Dwayne, which, Dwayne wins. I think I got my first win against Dwayne in like 8 years. This Madden, the very first season, which I have not made the playoffs, and I've only been like a 5 or 6 win team, but that was like my highlight so far this Madden. I beat Dwayne. That was 8 years and 8 Maddens. That's
Anytime you beat that guy, it feels good.
Yeah, exactly. So
I agree, Tim. I think you can. Tim asked, can you have an AFC NFC rivalry if you're not in the bowl game? I think you can. It's harder because you don't play those teams as often. But and Dwayne's in the chat. He's listing off some good ones. Bill versus Peppers, a maybe. Some of these other ones though, they're not AFC NFC matchups. And then Trey says, "Well, I'm in the AFC. Wayne's the biggest NFC rival, so." And when I'm in the NFC, Randy is my biggest rival. Sure, but you've only been over there for 2 seasons, right? So it's hard to call that a real rivalry. It's probably close to a rival, Trey. I think it's a very close one. All right, I need to get out of here, but before I do, give me some final thoughts on the playoffs, Mr. Maniac. They're rolling right along. I'm hoping I can find some time to call some games. I've got 1 full day of work tomorrow where I'll be in the office and then have some time off. So hopefully we can find some time to call some of these games, but give me some final thoughts on the playoffs for season 117.
Well, definitely. I mean, to start off, it's been kind of a widespread, you kind of had the AFC things unfolded most games like you kind of thought, but then there were some surprises, and then the NFC, the biggest surprise with it, I think no shade against Tim, but Tim beating Atlanta and Cincinnati or Cincyburg was
Absolutely.
probably one of the biggest upsets, I think, if you look at it, even though he was the number 2 team, but you have to look at who's like controlling these teams and stuff. And Cincyburg has been like a top 5 guy for so long that I would consider, in this league and stuff. And then the newcomer and and then Meek Boy, he's trying to get this monkey off his back that he's had for so long. He can't get past the divisional round or the championship round in the playoffs. He gets there, but he can't. I think a lot of these storylines that we could make from the OMFL, from all the history that a lot of these guys, and that's one of the things I think that makes it unique, because most of the guys have played here a long time, and so there's like a history, just like with Tim, even though, again, like I said, I'm not saying anything bad against him, but he has had his struggles, and he's had a few seasons where he's done really well, but now here he is, he gets his first playoff win, and now he's in the mix. He's only a couple teams away from getting to the OMFL Bowl, for the first time ever, for him. And so there's these storylines. Nipples going to be playing Trey. Trey is just the dominant guy on the AFC side, and he's been from the Lions, and now he's over in the Chargers, and so is it going to be one of those things where Trey, with the team that he's built and he's got, is he going to continue? And the Raiders, kind of a Cinderella story there. He's not been in the playoffs that many times. Hey, and he got a playoff win. He's coming into the next round as well. It'd be awesome to see some of these guys make it further deeper into the playoffs that have not been this far before. And so it's just one of the things that makes the OMFL unique. And like I said, with guys that have hung around and been in the league for a long time, it just makes those storylines deeper and more interesting and more captivating, I guess you would say. So, but definitely going to be interested to see how it all plays out, and it's going to be a good one, I believe.
I couldn't agree more, and I've got nothing else to add. Thank you for making some time for me. I know that you're very busy during the holiday season, especially how your business is blowing up and all the other stuff. We're all kind of busy, but you seem to be really, really busy. Hopefully we could try to find some time to call some of these games. They happen so early. It's hard for me to squeeze away. And I've been
Bill's got him on that leash. You know, he's like,
he does. You know he does. I've been also so busy. It's a little harder recently to squeeze away from the wife. She's not too happy about that here recently because we've been so on the go so much. But hopefully we can make that happen. Guys, thank you for hanging out in the chat. Make sure to hit the like button. Let me know your comments down below. What do you think these playoffs are going to happen? Who's going to win? Who's going to make it to the divisional championship round? Who's going to represent the OMFL in each of the bowl games? And how's this one going to play out? The Toilet Bowl is also continuing to go. Massimo and I were supposed to match up. Kind of fell through for both of us yesterday. He couldn't play today. I didn't want to make everybody wait around until Tuesday, so I just gave up my spot. Sucked, but I just didn't want to hold up the Toilet Bowl. But it is rocking and rolling, so make sure to check out those Toilet Bowl games. We're testing all Madden. I say that very quietly. I don't want to upset my buddy over here. I know he hates all Madden, but we got to test it. I feel like we're going to have to give it one shot. It's just, these scores are crazy, man. It's just, the offensive numbers are crazy. We got to do something, but that's definitely in the works. So if you can help us out with those, please let us know. And then vote. Lost has created this amazing app for us, and it's so easy. It's so spectacular. If you're not using that, like you're doing yourself a disservice. Like we should question your ownership here because like you definitely don't want to be here. It is so stinking cool and so stinking easy to participate in the extra stuff. It's way cooler than anything I've ever created here. It's spectacular. So shout out to Lost for doing it. Maniac, thank you again for making time. Guys, I got to get out of here. My wife's probably wondering where the heck I am. I love you. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you on the next one, okay? Peace.
Smash that like and subscribe.